Just are coming. Your business cannot commence because the quorum has not been constituted. 1/3 of members of parliament need to be present in the house in order for business to commence. And so the house before the break was considering a motion that has been moved by Wengwa MP, Mr. Kasau Tamichelo, and seconded by Ms. Maureen Mawonga of Mfuwe constituency, urging the House to adopt the report of the Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources on the ratification of the establishment of the African Risk Capacity Agency for the 4th session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Monday, 11th November 2024. And after consideration of this particular motion, we have resumption of debate on the supply motion on estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 1st January 2025 to 31st December 2025, presented to the National Assembly in September 2024. And so yesterday, Madam Speaker did make an announcement saying debate on this particular motion, the supply motion, actually will come to a close today. So we do expect quite a number of ministers actually to add their voice to this particular motion, which comes to an end today. And so you're tuned into Parliament Television. As soon as the quorum is constituted, business will resume.
When business was suspended, the House was considering the motion to adopt the report of the Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources on the ratification of the establishment of the African Risk Capacity Agency for the 4th session of the 13th National Assembly, and the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning was responding to the issues raised in the report. May the Honorable Minister continue?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was actually concluding when we took the break, and in my conclusion I was saying that the African Risk Capacity Agency, or ARC, will enable member states to enhance the quantification and management of risk through modern and innovative financial tools such as risk financing and risk transfer. Additionally, the agency will help member states to plan and prepare for emergencies. The agency will also facilitate the pooling of financial resources of member states in order to provide contingent funding in a timely, objective, and cost-efficient manner, which will help to alleviate possible impact of extreme weather events and natural disasters. Additionally, the agency will provide for strengthened regional cooperation through collective action and joint risk management strategies. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you.
The Honourable Member for Wengwa wind up debate.
Thank you very much, Honourable Mr. Speaker, and let me also thank the Honourable Members of Parliament, those who've debated and supported the motion. Honourable Kafwa, MP for Lunte, Honourable Brenda Nyerenda, MP for Lundaz, and Honourable Member for Chilubi. Also, let me thank Honourable Member from Mbawala, Honourable Msanje, and let me also thank the Minister of Finance. Let me thank you for supporting this motion. Okay, and this motion, it is going to benefit the majority of Zambians. And once this motion, okay, comes into implementation, there is a lot of money involved every time. I think in Zambia, when we have a disaster, we are going to be helped, okay, with a lot of monies from the same bill which we are going to assent this time around. Otherwise, Honourable Mr. Speaker, let me thank the House also for adopting this report. I thank you very much.
I put the question. The question is that this House adopts a report of the Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources on the ratification of the establishment of the African Risk Capacity Agency for the fourth session of 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Monday, 11th November 2024. As many as of that opinion say aye, or the contrary say no, the ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. The clerk will now read the orders of the day.
Supply motion of 5th November 2024, resumption of debate.
When the House was adjourned yesterday, Tuesday 19th November 2024, the House was considering the motion moved the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning that the House do now resolve into Committee of Supply on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 1st January 2025 to 31st December 2025, presented to the National Assembly in September 2024. Any further debate? I must indicate that this is the last day for the Honorable Ministers to respond. As such, we'll give ample time just before knock-off that the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning should be able to conclude. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank you most sincerely for giving me this opportunity to debate the motion that is under consideration. Mr. Speaker, as you may all be aware, the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security is charged with the responsibility of providing and maintaining internal security in order to promote sustainable socio-economic development for the people of Zambia. In order to fulfill this mandate, the Ministry shall endeavor to create an environment where peace, stability, and justice prevails in its implementation of various activities and programs as contained in the 2025 budget. Mr. Speaker, I'm aware that my colleagues on your left did raise a number of issues pertaining to the maintenance of the rule of law, governance issues, and the protection of human rights. Mr. Speaker, I want to state that in our endeavor to ensure that there is law and order in this country and to respond to the issues that were raised by honorable members of this House and to the allegations that were made by the leadership of the Patriotic Front over the disappearance of our dear brother, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Petauke. I would like to respond as I had assured the Speaker. There was that was made to the disappearance of our dear brother. There were allegations that the Zambia played a role in ensuring that our brother escapes from lawful custody. Various accusations were made on the floor of this House and outside. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to report. I'm happy to report that our dear brother has been found. He was residing in an apartment in Zimbabwe. We were aware for quite some time. And I did mention here that we are aware of where our brother is. Yes, I've been told that I should bring him. For the benefit of the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kalulushi, Honorable J.E. Banda, Member of Parliament for Petauke Central, was arrested in Harare yesterday 10 hours by the Zimbabwean authorities, pursuant to our request that we must have him here. Fortunately, there has been corroboration. We have worked together with the good people of Zimbabwe. Honorable Banda will be brought to this country at an appropriate time.
The Honourable Member for Kalulushi, let's desist from debating while you are seated.
Yeah, I have noted that the Honourable Member of Parliament for Petauke, for Kalulushi, is so excited that we have found the Honourable J.J. Banda, who is in prison in Zimbabwe. Unlike, Mr. Speaker, unlike the statement that is being attributed to PF, where they are alleging that he voluntarily handed over himself to the Zimbabwean authorities. That is not true. And they are saying, according to what they are saying, the PF, that he has decided to surrender himself to the Zimbabwean authorities as a result of the ruling yesterday. Mr. Speaker, the arrest was made in the morning at 10 hours. The ruling of Madam Speaker giving him 7 days was in the afternoon. So it has nothing to do with that. Mr. Speaker, those statements from my colleagues on your left and the others outside entails that our colleagues have been abetting criminality. They knew where our brother was, and they have been communicating with him. They should realize that that is a very serious offense. Concealing the whereabouts when you are aware of the circumstances in issue of someone who's wanted by the law. It is an offense. Don't blame anybody if the long arm of the law catches up with you. But I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, that those allegations have been proved false. J.J. Banda is in the cells in Zimbabwe. We are doing all the formalities in the normal way we always do when somebody is supposed to be extradited back in Zambia. We are going to ensure that we follow the law. Mr. Speaker, we have also noted, as we ensure that there is law and order in this country, that some individuals in this country deliberately and mischievously are making statements inciting members of the public and individuals to rise against a lawfully voted in government. When they get arrested, they cry foul. It's not correct. It's not correct. Mr. Speaker, we shall ensure in this country that people enjoy their rights and privileges without hindrance. But there are laws in this country. There are laws in this country which we all subscribe to, We are the lawmakers here. And when laws are made,
may the Honorable Minister come back to the budget.
Mr. Speaker, I'm raising issues that were raised by my colleagues. I'm responding. They were alleging lawlessness. They were alleging that rights are being abused. I'm now responding. I'm responding and telling the nation that we shall ensure that rights and privileges of Zambians are protected. At the same time, we are going to ensure that those who break the law with impunity are held accountable. That is our responsibility, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm aware that there was an issue of lack of capacity on the part of the police in policing. I'm happy to report, Mr. Speaker, that the good people of China, through the People's Republic of China, they have granted us 80 motor vehicles for use by Zambia police. Obviously that is not enough. We would like to find other ways and means to ensure that we capacitate our institutions. It is obtaining in the Lundazi constituency, where it was said that there is only one policeman. There are 3 policemen there at that police station. And we are going to ensure that we provide police services in Lundazi. That is our duty. I'm talking about Lundazi because I love Lundazi so much. And those are our people.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, we are leaders here. Just like I love Kaputa, we shall ensure that we send policemen to Kaputa, just as we are going to send policemen in Lundazi. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Order. The Honorable Minister for Northwestern Province.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm honored to present to this august House the statement in support of the 2025 estimates of revenue and expenditure for the Office of the President, Head 97, Northwestern Province. Mr. Speaker, the preparation of our budget was guided by the vision of the province, which is to have an economically productive province for improved livelihoods. Mr. Speaker, I now provide the highlights of the 2024 budget and program performance for Northwestern Province. The 2024 budget for provincial administration, Northwestern Province had an allocation of 120.9 million kwacha, out of which 84.6 million kwacha, representing 70%, was for personal emoluments, while 36.2 million kwacha, representing 30%, was for non-person emoluments. Mr. Speaker, major achievement in 2024. Some of the key achievements the province has made as at 30th September 2024 are as follows. Economic transformation and job creation. Mr. Speaker, under this key strategy area, provincial administration continued to provide an enabling and supportive environment for industrialization with focus on value addition in agriculture, mining, manufacturing, and tourism sectors. Human and social development, Mr. Speaker. Under this key strategic area, provincial administration achieved the following. Among others, integrated 38 street children with their families. 2. Supported 70 child and aged-headed households. 3. Facilitated the training of 332 youths in skills. 4. Conducted 200 land development inspections to ensure controlled land development. Environmental sustainability. Mr. Speaker, under this key strategic area, provincial administration achieved the following. Raised over 105,311 assorted tree seedlings in readiness for planting. Undertook 2 beekeeping trainings and supported 14 beekeeping groups with equipment. As you are aware, Northwestern Province is one of the provinces where you can have best honey in the country and the world. Good governance. Mr. Speaker, under this key strategic area, provincial administration achieved the following. 1. Undertook quarterly Human Resources Committee, Audit Committee, and Provincial Development Coordination Committee, PDCC meetings. Mr. Speaker, in preparing the 2025 budget estimates, provincial administration focused on the following programs. 1. Community development and social services. 2. Natural resources management. 3. Economic development. 4. Local government services and management and support services. Mr. Speaker, Community Development and Social Services Program has been allocated 23 million kwacha, which is 17.3% of the total proposed budget, to facilitate the following: support to the vulnerable households, sports development, promotion of arts and culture, as well as support to chiefs and traditional affairs, among others. 2. Oriented all district heads of departments in the prevention of corruption and handling of gifts as public servants. And 3. Operationalized the ministerial delivery unity province with the focal point persons and the technical analytical team established and oriented. Mr. Speaker, 2025 budget outlook for provincial administration Northwestern. The proposed budget allocation for 2025 is 132.6 million kwacha, out of which 94.6 million, representing 71.3% of the proposed budget, is for personal emoluments, and 38 million kwacha, representing 29.7% of the proposed budget, is for non-person emoluments. Mr. Speaker, I would like, as I conclude, to echo that during the rule of the New Dawn government, Northwestern Province has witnessed significant developments and anticipates even more in the near future. Key projects that our province has benefited from include the finalization of consultation on the construction of the Lumwana-Kambimba Road. Mr. Speaker, the road mentioned would decongest the Kasumbalesa border. The opening of the nickel mine, the expansion of the super pit at Lumwana mine and the extension of Kamisengo mine, as well as the yet to be completed S3 project at Kasanshi mine. Additionally, we are celebrating the opening of the Kasenseri gold mine, the commissioning of the Kasanjiko mini hydropower station, and the opening of Kalengwa mine. As you are aware, Mr. Speaker, the backbone or spinal cord of our economy is the mining industry. So, as people of Northwestern Province, we thank His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema for unlocking mining industries in Northwestern Province. Mr. Speaker, plans for the construction of a university and the hospital are also in progress, along with numerous other transformative projects. These initiatives, Mr. Speaker, are creating jobs, enhancing the availability of social amenities in our communities, and ultimately improving the livelihoods of the people in our province and throughout the nation. The people of Northwestern Province deeply appreciate the tangible and positive impact of these development efforts under the New Dawn administration. Mr. Speaker, with this said, I would like to thank the administration of His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, for creating a conducive environment that has resulted in massive investment in the province. And while in this high spirit, I urge all honorable members of this August Committee to support the 2025 budget estimates of revenue and the expenditure for the Office of the President, Provincial Administration, Northwestern Province. Mr. Speaker, I submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Many ministers have indicated. I urge you, honorable ministers, maybe to just utilize 5 minutes so that we accommodate as many as we can. So the honorable member for the Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance to respond to the committee's suggestions and conclusions. The ministry acknowledges the critical role of early childhood education in cognitive and social development. In line with this, the 2025 budget includes provisions for the construction of 440 ECE centers and the Zambia enhancement of early learning project, with a focus on prioritizing rural and underserved areas. Additionally, the government has launched the ECE Hub Centers Initiative, aiming to construct 20 new ECE centers annually. Currently, the first batch of 20 centers is nearing completion, with 90% of the work already done. And to ensure sustainable development, we are increasing resource allocation while reducing reliance on external funding. I also urge fellow members of Parliament to utilize Constitutional Development Fund to further expand ECE services in their respective constituencies. Mr. Speaker, we are also enhancing monitoring and evaluation of service delivery. We are also mitigating accumulation of arrears. We have equitable distribution of education facilities. We are also doing fast tracking of teacher recruitment. Mr. Speaker, you will realize that in 2025 the ministry plans to recruit an additional 2,000 teachers, building on the significant milestone of over 41,000 teachers recruited since 2021. Mr. Speaker, we are also addressing scaling up delayed teachers scale up. We are also, Mr. Speaker, want to assure the House that the Ministry of Education remains committed to implementing its mandate effectively. Education is the foundation of national development, and through your continued support, we will build a system that empowers every learner to achieve their full potential. Investing in education is more than just building schools. It is about building a better society. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Labour and Social Security.
Chairperson, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to render my remarks to the observations or recommendations basically made by the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee and the Committee on Government Assurances. This will be the focus. This pertains to the 2025 budget estimates for the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. May I begin my submission by acknowledging the positive debates during this session, the sector-based budget analysis for honourable members of the committee. Chairperson, the committee made some observations and recommendations on the 2025 budget estimates. The committee observed the shortage of transport for labour inspectors to carry out their functions effectively. The committee noted the allocated amount of 3.5 million for procurement of vehicles as inadequate. In this regard, Chairperson, Pardon me, Mr. Speaker. In this regard, the committee recommended that the allocation must prioritize the procurement of motor vehicles for labour inspectors, which are relatively cheaper and easier to maintain. Mr. Speaker, while appreciating this proposed initiative, it's imperative that the recommendation is subjected to careful review and consideration, considering implications which may not be advantageous to the Ministry's dispensation of its sensitive functions and the inspectorate mandate. Some of these are to do with safety of authorized officers. Others are the high risk to safety safety of sensitive inspection materials that are in their possession when doing inspections. These are some of the issues that were raised. In view of the above, Mr. Speaker, in view of the above highlighted reasons, the procurement of motorbikes as a means of transport for inspections would not be in the best interest of the government's efforts in ensuring compliance to the provisions of the labour laws. Mr. Speaker, the committee also made observations about the publicity of the call centre, where our people are supposed to, on the labour market, are supposed to report their matters. The ministry was advised to ensure that awareness is undertaken so that the members of the public create more awareness on the call centres that have been put in place, especially the one at the ministry. Mr. Speaker, I wish to state that the ministry established a call centre at the headquarters and allocated a number, Zamtel toll-free line 7010, and Airtel as well has been allocated. To strengthen the centre, the ministry has proposed the structure which, when fully operationalized, will address the concerns raised by the committee on awareness and access to this call centre. Mr. Speaker, the committee further observed that the minimum wage was not factored in the current prevailing economic conditions. Mr. Speaker, the ministry has noted the observation made by the committee. The committee reviews its minimum wage after 2 years, and the latest one was reviewed in 2023 and effective January 2024. Currently, the ministry is reviewing the minimum wage in the transport sector. Mr. Speaker, the committee furthermore observed with concern the apparent disparities in the benefits between the two pension schemes, the National Pension Scheme Authority, NAPSA, and Public Service Pension Fund, PSPF. In this regard, the committee urged the ministry to consider reforms, extensive reforms in the public pension laws and regulations to harmonize the pension benefits for the two pension schemes named above. Mr. Speaker, government has in this regard taken note of the observations and recommendations of the committee, and there is a process that is being undertaken at the moment on this extensive reform agenda in the social protection area. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, the committee also noted with concern the workload slated on the Office of the Labour Commissioner, recommended that the position be elevated to the level of Permanent Secretary. It is the view of the committee that it will enable effective management of work. Mr. Speaker.
Order. Time is up, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In responding to the sentiments and findings of the expanded committee on estimates for budget 2025, I wish to commend them for the thorough work that they did, and also to state that my ministry, being a people-centric ministry, has galvanized and absorbed all the sentiments that they've put to us as work that has to be acted upon. As you know, Mr. Speaker, the ministry that I'm privileged to run is a people-centric ministry, like I've said, and we as a government have deliberately taken the path of decentralization via devolution, where we are anticipating that as much as possible the citizens must participate in decision-making for their own benefit and identify their own needs. To this effect, Mr. Speaker, 90% of the 10.56 billion kwacha allocated to the ministry 2025 account for government transfers such as CDF, Constituency Development Fund, Local Government Equalization Fund, grants in lieu of rates, and also the Cash for Work program. This is in line with government's commitment to reallocate resources from central government to local level, where district and sub-district structures are going to be fully engaged in attaining their own interests and aspirations. Mr. Speaker, we note the committee's response and concern about the utilization of the CDF across all components. Mr. Speaker, we will also continue to look at the law that provides for the smooth running of the Constituency Development Fund, so that where it provides challenges, we will be on hand, together with this August Assembly, to continue making amendments to the law in order for us to get maximum benefit from this particular platform. We acknowledge as well the recommendation of the committee for the development of a robust monitoring and evaluation framework. Mr. Speaker, we also take note of the committee's concerns about the provision of bursaries for skills development, and that it needs to respond and be informed by the constituency needs. This is well noted. Mr. Speaker, we also take cognizance of the committee's submission to strengthen the oversight of the procurement processes under the flagship program of CDF, and the time that we lose in procrastination as they go through processes of procurement. This has been a thorn in the flesh, and we are determined to promote, and we are committed to the transparency and accountability, and will continue to provide oversight to the councils or local authorities to adhere to the internal processes and external regulations that guide the Constituency Development Fund. We also take note of the recommendations for the rural integration and promotion of local economic development that the committee was concerned about. This House may wish to note that government has given priority to the integrated development planning to ensure sustainable implementation of even the rural and remote area. And through these integrated development plans, Mr. Speaker, a policy framework for local and technical support to councils and develop the implementation of the local economic development plans. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the Minister of Home Affairs for finding our brother, who we have been worried about as to where his whereabouts were, and not only his whereabouts, but also his well-being. It is gratifying, and we thank God that he is among the living, and that he's coming back home where he's loved. I beg to move, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Youth, Art and Sports.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would like to start by extending my deepest appreciation to the committee for the wonderful work done in interrogating our proposed estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year 31st January to 31st December 2025. And to the chairperson of the committee and the members, I want to thank you most sincerely. Mr. Speaker, let me now turn my attention to the observations and recommendations made by the committee on the proposed 2025 budget for 8376, Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, I agree. I agree with the committee that the proposed 2025 aid total for my ministry, which stands at 271,298,646 kwacha, representing just a mere 0.12%, of the total budget is not enough with regards to the magnitude of the population that the ministry is tasked to oversee. That is the youth, artists, and also sports persons. I therefore echo the committee's recommendations that more resources should be allocated to the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts. The committee also observed, Mr. Speaker, that a larger percent that over 50% of the ministry's budget is allocated to sports, management, and development programs. And they recommended that 15% of these funds be redirected to youth development and empowerment. Mr. Speaker, I wish to note that even though over 50% of the funds are allocated to sports management and development programs, these funds are not adequate to support sport at the level we want it to be. So I wish to inform this august House that the new Dawn government does not just look at sport as just a mere entertainment, but we look at sport as a tool that can help us alleviate poverty, that can also be used as a vehicle for job creation, and also just improve the livelihood of sportsmen and women. And in this regard, I would still advocate for an increase in the budget allocation for the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts, especially to youth and arts development programs, in order to ensure that all programs under the ministry have adequate resources and implementation of these programs, so that we can undertake these programs fully without redirecting funds from one program to another. The committee also observed that a number of youth empowerment programs are being implemented by various line ministries and government agencies, and there is limited coordination. In view of the above observation, I wish to note that implementation of youth empowerment programs by various ministries and institutions is due to the implementation of programs based on different portfolio functions of various ministries in line with the decentralization policy under the new Dawn government. However, I would like to state that there is need to enhance our coordination mechanisms among line ministries and implementing agencies in order to drive the much needed positive impact of these initiatives targeting the youth. Further, there is need to enhance coordinated monitoring and evaluation visits in order to ensure that there is no duplication of youth empowerment programs and beneficiaries. And in addition, I wish to reiterate that youth issues are cross-cutting and need a multi-sectoral approach in addressing them. And this is what we are just doing. In conclusion, once again, I want to thank the committee for the insightful observations and recommendations made in the report, and I urge all members of this House to adopt the report laid on this table. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Next.
The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to join others who have thanked the committee, thanked you for according me an opportunity to contribute to the budget debate. Allow me also to compliment other honorable members of Parliament and ministers who have congratulated the Honorable Minister of Finance for a job well done. Chairperson, I also wish to commence my debate starting with the mandate of my ministry, and just to state that we will be concentrating on key three areas. One, strengthening the land administration and regulations, management of natural resources, and management and support services for improved service delivery. Chairperson, as you are aware, we have to align our activities to economic documents, one, the Vision 2030, and also the objectives of the 8th National Development Plan. And in this regard, we shall be doing the following. We shall endeavor to strengthen land administration, land administration, and also to prioritize the National Lands Policy Implementation Plan of 2022 to 2026. In addition, my ministry plans to fully integrate our information system, what we call ZILAS, with the National Land Titling Program, with PACRA, with the National Registration Office, and the Zambia Revenue Authority, so as to create a one-stop shop. My ministry will also continue the process of decentralization of lands and this registry in provincial towns where we don't have. Chairperson, I wish to state also that the 2025 national budget will enable my ministry engaging stakeholders regularly at both national and international level on border reaffirmations in order to maintain the integrity of our international boundaries. As you are aware, Zambia shares a number of boundaries, and we have to ensure that we reduce the encroachments. Further, my ministry plans to review and update the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan of 2015 to align it to the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework and the 8th National Development Plan. With regards to revenue collection, Chairperson, you are aware that my ministry is one of those ministries that contributes to non-tax revenue. In this regard, we are going to enhance revenue collection, and this will be one of our major focus areas of our ministry. In other words, my ministry intends to focus on the ways in which revenue collection may be maximized. Chairperson, the other important program under my ministry is the Land Development Fund, which, as you know, this fund is meant to open up district council land to allocate. It is our intention and our desire to ensure that local authorities open up new areas that are serviced. So we have this activity for this coming year. Chairperson, once these councils are opened up, their councils will take services closer to the people. Chairperson, with these few remarks, I wish to support the 2025 national budget. Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank you for giving me this opportunity to provide a response to the committee in relation to